Blog Talk Radio.
Episode 14 of NiGHT, Cars Podcast with Dave and Donna. I'm one of your hosts, Dave, Mr. Steel Wool, and joining me is Miss Sunshine and Rainbows, maker of her kids' dinners, Donna.
Hey!
What? You having a party over there? Hey, you having a party over there?
Yeah, it's just me.
Sounds like a party.
Me and myself.
Right.
Woo!
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, well.
Hey, I don't know what the temperature is in neck of the woods, but it's officially cold here in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah? What is it?
I am freezing my ass off. 55 today, something like that. That's probably nothing to you.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding? It's the middle and the end of November. That's great temperature. Huh?
I'm freezing my ass off.
Oh.
And it doesn't help that my wife is going through the change.
Oh.
And, she's like a thermal woman. And, we go to bed. We've got the windows open. We've got the ceiling fan on. We've got a floor fan that blows on her and me. So, she's trying to kill me from hypothermia. So if I die of hypothermia, you know what really happened, Donna.
Yeah, we'll know why. When I go to your funeral, I'll give Chris I point to my eyes and I point to her eyes like I'm watching you. I know what you did.
Well, that's how it is when you're older and you're married. It's just a waiting game. Who gets the spoil? Who gets all the insurance money? And I've got a lot more on me than she's got on her, so.
Yeah, well, she stands to win then.
Yeah. Hey, in the olden days, they used arsenic. Nope. Modern times, they use hypothermia to get rid of their husbands.
Well, yeah, that would have been a good topic for Friday the 13th, but it's kind of creeping me out right now because I know your wife loves you, and I don't know, it makes me feel bad.
Yeah. Well, she's gone right now, and so I'm in the Night Thoughts podcast studio, aka the den, instead of the granddaughter's bedroom. So that's a nice little change.
Yeah,
but
good.
We will see how it goes. It's so weird to be podcasting 2 days. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, is your audio kind of choppy?
The intro song is kind of choppy. So, fuck you, Blog Talk. Fuck you, Todd Rundgren, our sound man.
Because you're kind of cutting out a little bit in my headphones. So
really?
Hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, man. Blog Talk, you're killing me. You're killing me, Blog.
I thought that maybe the last podcast problem was because my son was, doing some heavy stuff on the server. So I asked him to get off our internet connection while we're podcasting, because I was hoping that was going to solve the problem. That it was something on my end, but yeah, you're still kind of chopping up. So oh well.
Well, if it gets really bad, let me know.
Okay. I'm assuming you just said let me know, right?
Oh, geez. I just broke up on that?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh.
Got to blame somebody. Blog Talk, damn you.
Yeah.
Internet cable provider, damn you. Todd Rundgren, damn you.
I'm shaking my fist at the sky right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just move ahead and let's just see what happens. Because we've never claimed to be best quality audio podcast, even though we are the longest running Cars podcast and number one.
That's true.
But we haven't won any awards for audio quality, so we'll just kind of go with that.
In fact, it's kind of our shtick. People know when they
It's our
listen to
shtick.
our podcast, they know when they tune into us, they can look forward to some crappy sound.
That's right.
All right.
Beginning of episode 14 here, Donna, I'm going to do the business, but the business doesn't really matter because nobody emails. Nobody can type in the Fanorama. But, if you feel like you want to type out DJ, 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 or, SL, 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 and do some typing practice, you can send that to NiGHTpodcast@gmail.com.
We'll read it on the air.
We'll read it on the air with feeling. I'll even do it with a voice. What the heck? And then the podcast swag, tpublic.com/user/NiGHTthoughts. If you want to pick up a podcast shirt, of which we've sold 0. So obviously our fan base can't type and they don't wear shirts. And remember, the demographic is 50-year-old men. That's our main audience. So we've got 50-year-old men who aren't wearing shirts, can't type. It's like an episode of Cops.
And hopefully they're getting their prostates checked.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So we are talking the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
This is the Cars' third year of being nominated. This year, they are up against, I've got the whole list here down. Bon Jovi,
perfect.
Living on a Prayer. Kate Bush, have no fucking clue. The Cars.
Yeah.
Depeche Mode. What did Depeche Mode sing? Give me one song. I'm familiar with them, but.
I know. You can't ask me off the top of my head. They had some weird stuff in the 80s. I wasn't a big fan.
Are they the John Hughes guys? I touch you once. I touch you twice. Is it?
Oh, no, that's OMD. That song that you just did was OMD. And Simple Minds was from Breakfast Club. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go on.
Right.
I'm sure I know if I heard
Dire
stuff,
Straits.
I know it. Love Dire Straits.
Yep. Sultans of Swing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Eurythmics. Love Eurythmics. Jay Giles Band. That album Freeze Frame of theirs was like Freeze Frame. When I was a senior in high school, you were a nerd. That was the shit. The shit album to have. You had to have that album. Judas Priest, like them a lot.
Yeah.
Hellbent for Leather.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
One I don't get. LL Cool J. I guess we'll get into that later, but because he's my favorite rocker. Last time I was at an LL Cool J concert, he said, I've been around all over the world, but there ain't no place that raps like Springfield, Illinois.
Nice.
The MC5, which I've never heard of. The Meters, never heard of them. Moody Blues.
Never heard of them.
I saw the Moody Blues in the mid-'90s, and they were so old then, they had to take like an intermission. I shit you not. They're like playing along, and all of a sudden, we're going to take an intermission. Holy crap, guys, you've been playing for like 45 minutes. Yeah, Radiohead.
Okay.
Rage Against the Machine. Okay. Rufus featuring Chaka Khan. Give me a hit by Rufus.
I don't know Rufus, but
I don't even.
Chaka Khan, I've heard of.
Yeah, Chaka Khan, Chaka Khan.
Let Me Rock
that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Nina Simone, not familiar with her. Looks like a nice lady though. Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Is she really a sister? Because I'm not going to make a joke if she's really a sister. Is she a nun?
I got no clue. I don't even want to go. I'm not going to try. I don't know.
Link Ray.
Okay.
That's a pretty tough name though. And then Zombies.
Yeah, heard of the Zombies. Zombies are good.
They're all nominated, which congratulations to all of them, even though we don't know all of you. And the Cars, have been nominated the past 3 years. And so we're kind of looking optimistically at this, but we're just going to kind of go through and take a look at, what the hall's requirements are for induction and why the cars should be in the hall, and just some other things that have to do with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, Donna, I was wondering if you could give us some of your background that I saw on your blog. You do have a blog, right?
I do, as a matter of fact. It's funny you should mention that.
Yeah.
www.sweetpurpleJune.wordpress.com.
You did an article.
Go ahead.
sweetpurpleJune@wordpress.com. And you did an article about the cars in the Rock Hall, and as I recall, you had the requirements for induction into the hall. Can you enlighten us with those?
Yeah, so I'll read you the official verbiage from the Rock Hall website. It says the criteria for eligibility for the Hall of Fame: artists, which is defined as a group encompassing performers, composers, and or musicians, become eligible for induction 25 years after the release of their first record. Besides demonstrating unquestionable musical excellence and talent, inductees will have had a significant impact on the development, evolution, and preservation of rock and roll. That's the official.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
which, some of that's easily measurable and a lot of it ain't.
Okay, so this is the one that I'm really sitting on. Unquestionable talent. How in the hell did Tupac Shakur get in there?
Well, like I said, a lot of it is not measurable. It's going to be opinion.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about how the whole voting process works, right?
Yeah. So the cars have the 25 years, obviously. They have the unquestionable talent, definitely, and impact on rock and roll. I think that's the sticking point in a lot of these. But there's no doubt in my mind that the cars had an impact on rock and roll and still do today.
Absolutely.
Think of all the bands that they have inspired.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah, they've had a huge influence. Well, and to me the biggest thing is, and you'll read about this over and over again, is that when the debut album came out, when the Cars hit the scene, radio stunk. I mean, there was sort of music was stuck at that time. It was kind of the same old thing over and over, and there was some sugary, I think we talked about this not very long ago. The Grease soundtrack was on the charts and all sorts of stuff. It was, they were kind of in this rut, and the Cars sound was so different that it was hard for critics and music writers to classify what genre the Cars fit into. They had the kind of the synth pop thing going on. They had the rock and guitars. They had the sort of punkish edge to them. And so, they were really this new sound. And from that, it was one of the springboards of course, the new wave movement that took off in the 80s and, even kind of mainstreamed a little bit of the punk sound. And, they were pivotal in pushing the radio waves out of the rut that they had been in.
Agreed. So, as far as the process goes, explain the whole process of how groups are inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and including the fan vote. How does all this go? Okay.
Well, just to clarify and to put my little disclaimer out there, I am not an expert at all. And when I researched this for my article, I relied heavily, of course, on other things that I read on other blogs. Particularly, there's a great blog out there called the Iconic Rock Talk Show blog that I used as my foundation. So based on that information, coupled with the Rock Hall's own website, there's a nominating committee made up of about 28 members that are, foundational in the music industry, and they're kind of a group of musicians and managers and writers and that kind of thing.
So let me stop you there.
Okay.
So when you think about that, those 28 people who are in the industry thought enough of the cars to nominate them 3 freaking years in a row. It isn't like they just did it once and said, okay, there you go, there's your nomination. They've done it 3 years in a row. So It sounds like that majority of that committee wants the cars in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's my take on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they must think them worthy on some level, right?
Yeah.
Because they keep getting on the ballot.
Okay, so what happens after that?
Okay, so those 28 people come up with the nominations. They make those nominations public, and then there's two kind of lines of the voting area, and this is a really good thing to talk about because fans have kind of misconceptions about how this works. But there's 800 or 900 ballots that get mailed out to music industry professionals all across the country, and there's a list of people. It's not just anybody. These are people that have some influence and some history in the industry. So they all get ballots, their own official ballots. And then there is the fan vote, which is a separate deal. And that's, of course, online. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has a website that you can go to, and you can vote once a day for up to 5 acts that are on the ballot. And then they keep track of this fan vote. The fan vote does not count as much in the overall ballot process as some people might think. The top 5 finishers or winners, I guess, of the fan ballot, those bands only get one additional vote in the pool of the 800 or 900 plus ballots that they sent out to the music industry. So it really only counts as one extra vote. It's not, if we have 125,000 votes by fans, that's not how many votes the cars get. They get one if they finish in the top 5.
Yeah. And so, like this year, Bon Jovi is the runaway number 1, but Bon Jovi is not going to benefit any more than the cars are if they finish in the top 5. They're going to get one vote out of the fan vote.
That's right.
Yeah.
They get one fan vote.
That's probably the biggest misconception of the whole Rock Hall thing is that, the Fanorama gets involved in this vote. And, after doing it for 2 years, I'm really jaded,
I can tell, Dave.
I did my stint in politics through the teachers union, and man, I had enough of that then. And the fan vote is like that with me now because, you can, what it comes down to is you can bust your ass getting your favorite band, into the top 5 of the fan vote, and it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It depends upon those 900 music industry people and their actual votes that they're putting in.
Right.
So that's the way that goes.
Well, and let's talk about that a little on the side when we get to that, because I have some thoughts on that. But I want to just finish this induction process thing.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll definitely talk more about the fan vote. Okay, so all the ballots go out, then there's the 800 or 900 that go to the industry people, and then the fan vote. And what I wanted to say, I guess, about the fan vote is that even though this is not one of the rules, traditionally, the band or artist that comes in first on the fan vote traditionally has gotten inducted into the Rock Hall. But that's not a rule. So if a band finishes first, that doesn't guarantee they will be inducted into the Rock Hall. So just throwing that out there.
Any idea how many years have they done the fan vote?
Not very long. 2012? 2012 is when they started the fan vote.
Yeah, and it's been plagued with problems, since then. I haven't heard of any problems this year, but
I haven't either.
in 3 years the cars have been involved. That very first year, the 2015, 2016, of course you had the cheating aspect,
Right.
which I'll talk on in a little bit. And then last year they had this immense data dump that they did in one day, where the cars were like second place at that point. All of a sudden, boom, they got down to sixth or something in one day, and they claimed, we had been keeping this data and blah blah blah, and it just seemed very fishy, So they're always plagued with something. But in the first year, like I said, you had the cheating. Last year, they talk about one vote a day. Well, they'll keep track of you if you're voting through Facebook, but they also have the option to input an email address. And if you have 100 email addresses, you could vote 100 times a day. It doesn't even have to be a real email address. I mean, last year I was typing in my email address at gmail.com and boom, it would take it. So I don't know if that's true this year. I haven't tried.
Well, Dave, I wonder if that was part of the whole data dump thing, because, they said that they were verifying the integrity of votes, and that's why they were withholding a bunch of them. Maybe you are the one. You are the one, Dave, that threw the monkey wrench in the whole.
I didn't say that I voted 100 times last year. I said I tried it.
You with all your fakey emails. That's what they were having to sort through. I've
got my Mr. Steelwolf at yahoo.com. I've got my my Todd Rundgren stocks at Gmail, and
Crazy Cars fan that causes drama and makes people sick at gmail.com.
Yeah, I do. I have batshit crazy
Toxic.
at hotmail.com.
Good, okay. Mr. Toxic.
All those I use. Yeah, Mr. Toxic. So, but so go on with the process, and I'll get into the fan vote.
Well, I think that's pretty close to wrapping it up. I did want to make sure that fans understand that the fan vote is technically one vote in the whole ballot process, and there's no guarantee that the first place winner gets inducted. So what they do is then everybody mails all their ballots back in, and they compile the vote, and then that's what they come up with. I think that the voting ends December 5th. I think I didn't verify that, but I think it's December 5th.
Yeah, and it just seems like it's too long for a vote to begin with. It just goes on and
lengthy.
on.
Yes, it is quite lengthy.
Yeah.
That's true. How long do you think it should be? 2 weeks?
A month.
A month.
Give it a month. So, but who knows?
Yeah.
So the thing I wanted to touch on was, in the 2015 vote for the 2016 nominations or inductions, that was the year that Cheap Trick got in, Chicago got in, Deep Purple, Steve Miller, which I thought was awesome that he got in, and NWA. I don't know. NWA.
Another classic rock.
Is that a wrestling show? NWA? Wrestling. But they got in, and there was widespread cheating in that. And this is an article that is from Cleveland.com that was posted during that time. And it says, voting out for the annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame fan vote has been closed, and the winner should come as no surprise to anyone. For months, there's been speculation that the fan vote was hacked by computer bots, helping classic rock acts Chicago, Yes, The Cars, Deep Purple, and Steve Miller secure an early and insurmountable lead. And that's exactly how things played out. Chicago took the top spot with over 23% of the vote, followed by Yes, The Cars, Deep Purple, and Steve Miller. All 5 acts will comprise a fan ballot added to the voting pool of more than 800 ballots. In total, the top 5 acts accounted for a staggering 87.5% of the vote. Overall, this year's fan vote generated more than 160 million votes. Last year's fan vote was just 60 million votes over the course of 6 months. The bulk of this year's votes came within a week-long period when numbers surged and speculation began that the system had been tainted. But the Rock Hall remained loyal to the process. And then I'll just stop there. So
okay.
And I remember during that time, the Fanorama was really, really pissed off on that cheating, and I know people were really pissed off at Chicago because Chicago, I mean, I think at some point I was looking at the data, and they were putting in like 500 votes a minute, something like that was going through, and
wow.
I mean, I was just sitting there refreshing, or not a minute, but a second, something like that, and here's the thing that I want people in the Fanorama to understand. Because I was there. We cheated too. We cheated. The cars, not the cars themselves, obviously, but people behind the cars, people behind the Cars nomination to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame cheated. They flat out cheated too. And so we are not exempt from this. When Cleveland.com puts the Cars as one of the bands that was hacking the computers, they're right. They were. I know there's another article that did not mention the Cars, but they did. And there's, people wonder how this happened or whatever, and it's 2 words: voting bots. And I'm not sure exactly how they work, but you've got a program that you would install on one or more computers, and all these programs are doing are just submitting votes. So, the people involved, obviously will remain nameless, but let's just, as I said, both of the people involved that I had experiences with were administrators of 2 of the biggest sites promoting the Cars in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, basically this came up, it was a big deal. At that time I was, working for one of the pages. The Cars got nominated. It was like, holy shit, the Cars are nominated. And I think it goes with that idea that the fan vote really means something. I think that's what their motivation was to get as many votes as possible, because they thought that it meant everything,
Right.
Or like you said, they got number 1, they were in. And
right.
I refused to do it. I mean, I flat out refused to do it. It was like, hey Dave, you need to put one on your computer. It's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's wrong. It's cheating. And it was just, kind of fell on deaf ears. And I always felt, I think I've mentioned this before, I always felt that, even though it didn't hurt Chicago or Steve Miller, you had 2 other bands that were involved in the cheating that didn't make it in, and that was Yes and the Cars. So the next year, last year, when the Cars were nominated again, the first thing that came up among the peeps there was doing the same thing again. And so I'm just going to read, and as I said, this is nameless. I'm just going to read some messages that I've kept to just kind of show where their mindset was. Okay, I'll call them A and B. Okay, so A says, yeah, we're trying to circumvent the CAPTCHA protection on this voting page. It doesn't look good so far. So last year, what the Rock Hall's solution to the voting bot cheating was to put the CAPTCHA, so you have to verify, and God, these things drive me fucking nuts.
Oh yeah, I hate those.
Click.
I hate it.
Street signs. Okay, I'm clicking. Click. It goes next one. Click apartment buildings. Well, I can't tell which one's an apartment building. Dumb freaking caption. Give me something, like dogs, ducks, something like that. So anyway, A says that, and then B says, well, last year they caught on to 2 of the bands using bots. Was it Foreigner and Yes? LOL. It turned into a news story, but the cars were not mentioned, thank God. And that's when I said, and I posted that that article that I just read. I said, if you think the car is unscathed, you're wrong. And I don't want to go through and read everything that I wrote to them, but I just said, hey, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I didn't participate in this bot thing last year, and I didn't because I thought we could have a decent showing without it. And then I think that the fact that they know the car's cheated hurt us. And so what I'm saying is, you're planning on doing this again. I'm not planning on doing it. I'm doing my thing on Twitter. I'll be reminding followers daily to vote. You can do that too on your sites. Just post the link, blah blah blah. And it fell on deaf ears again. Well, it wasn't long after that things went to shit with that relationship that I had with those people over other things. And I don't know if they continued on with it last year or not, because I was blocked out then after things went to shit. But the main point is that people in the Fanorama have to understand that we're not, even though it isn't our fault, we're not innocent of the whole thing, because there were people in the Fanorama who did cheat, who did try to give the cars an edge, and that is true in 2016. That's true in 2017. Both of those inductions. So there you go.
Wow. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, for once in my life, I believe I can't respond. And it's just so. I don't know what to say about that.
Well, it's a major effort for little return. In the whole scheme of things, you're talking one vote. And if any band is going to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's because a majority of those 800 to 900 voting members are going to put them in. It has nothing to do with the fan vote. It has nothing to do with how great the fans are. And I think, a lot of people talk about the politics of it all and so forth and so on. I mean, it has everything to do with that. And how, some of these people that you're like, how can they even be rock and roll, get in?
Right.
So, it just depends on who has more influence in that committee and with the voters and so forth and so on.
Right. I just, I get, it's an integrity issue. Is it really worth, let's say that somehow it did matter, that the whole bot thing did push you in or out of the Rock Hall. Is that really how you want to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
By cheating? What kind of how is that then an honor? How is that then any kind of reward or, I think that the cars should be recognized by their peers for their talent and their contribution to music history. Cheating to get in, if that had gotten them in, is no evidence of the car's talent or contribution to music history. It's reflective of cheaters.
Yeah.
Why?
It's disrespectful as hell. It's disrespectful as hell for them to have done that.
Yes.
Especially for two people that close, the band, to have done that.
Right.
And also let me give this disclaimer. The band had no idea this was going on. As a matter of fact, I was told, don't ever let anybody find out, because they'll be
by the
pissed.
ones that were doing it warned to not let the band know. Yeah. It's just it's very frustrating and sad, and yeah, and then like you said, it's just disrespectful. Do you really not have the faith in the band? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But, and you also have to look at it this way, Donna, is that, as far as a fan base goes, when you're going against other fan bases, the Cars fan base is a lot smaller than other bands.
Yeah.
I think that the Cars appeal to a wide range of audience, but when it comes down to it, the hardcores, the people who are going to go, man, I'm going to make sure and vote every day, that's a much smaller number than your hardcore, Yes fans or your hardcore
or Journey
fans. Yeah, I mean it is what it is. So I could never go into a fan vote expecting the Cars to be number one just based on that fact. There's always going to be some other big act or whatever that was more popular, more known than others. And that's the same reason why we look at the listing this year and go, MC5, who the hell's MC5?
Right.
I'm sure there's some hardcore MC5 fans who are just busting their asses to vote MC5, but they're never going to get, they have a chance, getting above last or getting up in there, but nobody's going to vote for them. They don't know who they are.
Right. Yeah.
Or Link Ray. I bet you Link Ray, the only votes Link Ray's getting are from Link Ray's family. Because I have no idea.
Well, it's funny, I kind of consider myself to be, pretty well versed in music, and but then I look at the list of nominees and think, boy, I really don't know anything about music other than the Cars, because I didn't recognize a lot of that. I mean, the name MC5, I kind of recognize it, and I think that for some reason I want to say that somehow there's a thin connection to the Cars. I don't know if they toured with them or they did something, because I've seen that name before, but it's only because it's in relation to the Cars somehow. I don't know of any of their music. And maybe if I heard it, I would know it, but I couldn't pull anything off the top of my head.
And I forgot to mention the winners last year, ELO, very big band. Joan Baez, there's another one. Okay, how does Joan Baez?
Yeah.
She's a folk singer. She'll name the Folk Hall of Fame.
Folk Hall.
Journey, of course, got in Pearl Jam, Tupac Shakur, which they should have the Hip Hop Rap Hall of Fame. And then Yes got in. So
yeah. And the fact that the Cars keep getting nominated is reflective of the music industry's recognition of their contribution and their talent, for sure. Like you're saying, because they have such a small fan base, still known. I mean, they still played a big part.
Yeah. People know their songs, and of course, the most important part is going back to those requirements or whatever. They impact music. Hell, yes, they impacted music.
Absolutely.
The frustration, within the Fanorama, a lot of it is that, people see who gets in, and then you say to yourself, okay, Pearl Jam, how does Pearl Jam get in before the Cars? Or a Green Day. When Green Day got put in, Green Day, the Cars influenced Green Day. How does that work? And that frustrates people. And then when you have a space that's taken by a rap artist or a folk artist, that's even worse. How could Joan Baez make it in over the Cars in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I guess they had a rock off somewhere, and Joan Baez kicked the shit out of the Cars for a
Well, and see, those older acts, like I because I am not knowledgeable about them, I give them kind of a pass in the sense that I think, well, you know what? I don't know what stepping stone they played in the whole history of rock and roll, because there's mainstream music, and I know she was a folk singer, and so, but somehow I give room for there to be a connection that this somehow got us to the point rock and roll is today. Artists like, Tupac and NWA and those kind of things, no. LL Cool J, I can respect what you do. I listened to you back in the 80s, but no, you're not rock and roll. So those, I can't make excuses for. But these older acts, I do kind of say, well, I don't know. Maybe you did have you were an important link to rock and roll. I don't know. So.
I do like one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I do like one hip-hop song. I don't know if it's hip-hop or not, or rap, or what it is. That Bust a Move song.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Who is it? I have that on it's on my MP3 player now, but I have it it's Young MC. Young MC, Bust a Move.
I need to put that song into my living will. Do not resuscitate, but try playing Bust a Move first. And then I swear that song will revive me. It's just one of those songs.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah.
That's a good one. There's a lot of the early rap stuff that I like. I don't mind it. I mean, I've got a sampling of it in my stuff, but I don't think it falls in the category of rock and roll. So
no, definitely doesn't. And the other thing going with frustration in the Fanorama is, and it's not as apparent this year. I think this year they've got their act a little bit together, but the past 2 years you've got no activity whatsoever from the car's official sites, Twitter,
yes.
Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and Rhino Records.
Yes.
I mean, you had nothing, and that was like, okay, why in the hell aren't they promoting this? And they weren't. They're doing more this year, more than they ever have, really.
Yes.
So, but that was a frustrating aspect too.
That was definitely my biggest one. Where I just felt like I was shaking my head all last season, just like, why isn't anybody saying anything? Why is nobody rallying the fan base? The Cars official Facebook page, I think at that time, and probably still is right around 1.2 million likes or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. They post one thing and they're immediately have got 1,000 likes and 300 comments, and within minutes. So it's like, we're here as far as the fan group goes. We're here, and it would have been nice to have, kind of that cohesive feeling that the band was behind you. Even though I know the Cars official isn't the band, but just to have the higher ups behind the movement, that would have been inspiring.
Well, and I wonder how much the Cars official reaction to all this, or just anything for that matter, is based on what the actual band feels about the whole thing. I'm reminded of, and I think you posted this recently, about Rick Kasich being on the Stephen Colbert show in 2011. And Stephen was talking about I think his question was, why aren't you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And Rick says, well, I don't know if I really want to be.
Right.
And then you get into the comedy aspect of it. Well, if I win, I'll give it to you.
Right.
which is so freaking funny.
I love Rick on that show. Every time he's been on there that I've seen, he's just a hoot. I love it.
Yeah. But I have a clip of an interview with Elliot, and gosh darn it, I didn't put down to credit where it came from. It was somebody's it was a quickie podcast, like a 15-minute podcast. And so I apologize to whoever this is that interviewed Elliot, but this is recent, and it's what Elliot had to say about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Cue this up.
That's right. Elliot, the Hall of Fame question, the Cars keep getting kind of, on the ballot and everything and then not voted in.
Yeah.
Does this matter to you at all, or what's
not
your take
even
on that?
slightly.
Okay.
Not even remotely. I'm not trying to shut you down with the question.
No, that's fine. It's a fair
I don't
answer.
mind talking about it, but I could not care less if we get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or not.
Fair enough.
I didn't do this to win trophies, and I just got into the Massapequa High School Hall of Fame, and that's cooler for me. I got into my hometown Hall of Fame.
That's great. This is great.
Because it's so political. I mean, who knows why we get passed over and NWA go in, make a movie this year, this and that, and there's all these reasons, for people getting in. And
guys, look, King Crimson, Roxy Music, I mean,
a lot of people haven't gotten in.
The list is endless. No, I know.
I mean, Paul Revere and the Raiders. I mean, anybody you want to name that's had like tons of hits that they're not in there.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. Hey, let me tell you a quick funny story. I was interviewing Jerry Lee Lewis at the Channel.
Okay, I didn't get the Jerry Lee Lewis. I'm sure it involved lingerie. But you know what, Donna? I've been teaching all over this world, but there's no high school that rocks like Massapequa High School.
What a great interview clip. That was awesome.
Massapequa High School. Yeah. So, so maybe they're coming off the standpoint that the Cars are like, we understand it is what it is. We understand it's a political thing. We understand that it's no big deal.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter to us. So, and I know other bands, it has mattered a lot to them, by their posting on social media, like Journey. Journey posted the crap out of it. Neil Sean posted the crap out of it last year. So, it was important to them. And there was an article that was just posted like yesterday or the day before with Rick.
Yes.
Do you have that handy by chance?
I do. I did pull that up for this. The one where he doesn't think the third time will be the charm.
Yes. Can you read that?
Let's see. Do you want me to read what he said about it? It's not very long.
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of long. He says, the Hello Again hitmakers are nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame again this year, and frontman suspects the induction process is more about what a band can do now than what they've done in the past. It has a lot to do with the tea aspect now, he told us by phone from his Hudson Valley home. With the old Rock and Roll of Famers, we went in and there was a little dinner and it was on video. Now it's an HBO thing or whatever it is. They're thinking which bands we can program to do the live thing, and it's a little different than it used to be. The Cars sold all these albums. He said, I guess I'm a bit surprised because there have been some other bands from our era that have gotten in, he told us. It's one of those things where you can't just hang out and wait to see if it's going to happen. From that, and then he said, it used to be a thing in the 80s where if you could have a model, it might be a good idea. He said it was cool back when you had the videos and you were all dressed up and everybody was effing everybody else. In 2017, everyone is so uptight and weird. That I don't think that had to do with the rock hall.
You got a lot of sarcastic.
And then it talks about his art exhibit coming up. So, so I mean, he doesn't sound like he's particularly, he doesn't sound like he's particularly energized by the whole thing. Yeah,
and so that's that could be, I don't think the band members are just coming around and saying, play this down, right. But maybe to them, it's kind of like, I'll give you a good analogy. In my school district, they have this Educator of the Year deal. Okay. And it's nice to be nominated, okay? Because they come and they bring you flowers, which is, not that great for a guy, but they bring you flowers. The superintendent visits your classroom. They film everything. They have these commercials that run forever on local TV about Educator of the Year nominees, blah, blah, blah. And they treat you to a nice lunch, and, you can bring your family and things like that. But the hidden secret is that nobody wants to win a fucking thing. And the reason nobody wants to win it is because if you win it, then you are bound to do X amount of speeches for all these insurance people. Okay? So nobody wants to win. So everybody's like, yeah, I'm glad I got nominated. Yeah, thanks, congratulations, yeah. And then if you don't win, then people go, oh man, that's bullshit. You should have won, blah blah. No, I'm glad I didn't win. I'm glad I didn't win. I don't want to go. I want to spend my weekend in someplace up in Wisconsin speaking to a bunch of insurance salesmen that are happily. I don't want to do that. So that's maybe that's what the Rock Hall is to the cars. I mean, they know that if they're inducted, that that they might have to have X amount of time to get some rehearsal time in order to perform, or they might be pressured into perform and things like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and I remember listening, I think in one of the interviews Elliot did say, it'd be nice to be recognized by our peers, but he still had that same attitude of, I don't wake up in the morning wondering why I'm not in fame. And David had said something along those lines too, that he doesn't think about it ever. It doesn't bother. It's just not on his radar. That's not what they did it for.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if Greg never said anything. I've never heard a quote from Greg about it.
I haven't
really
either. I know he's trying to keep mum about it because he doesn't want to be the odd man out, but he's fingers crossed, voting every day.
But Donna, what it comes down to, and I've said before, that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame being what it is, it's about the band, but it's for the fans.
Right.
Even if the Cars don't care if they make it in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we care. The Fanorama cares. It's validation for our fandom. It's validation that the band that we love made an impact on music.
Right, and that they're being recognized for it. That it's being that it's being highlighted and that it's being put up for everybody to see. Yeah, I agree.
So I know Rick's trophy is spoken for, but hell, Elliot, if you happen to be listening, if you guys make it in, I'll take your statue. Greg, I'll take your statues. All right. If you don't want them on your mantle, I'll put them on my mantle. Promise to sell them on eBay. I'll take them.
Yeah. I think that'll happen. I think you're first on the list to get the ones that are unwanted.
Well, yeah, you got Colbert, and then you got me. So.
Right. One of the things I wanted to talk about, or at least mention, because we've talked about the Cars music being pivotal in changing the sound that was coming out of the radios, but also, and that was back, in the late 70s, early 80s, and certainly, in the middle of the 80s, they were the bee's knees with that Heartbeat City album and the videos. They were all over the place. But one thing you and I have talked about a little bit, and we could do a whole episode on this, is how relevant they still are today and how their music is still played today, and not just on the classic rock. I don't know about mainstream radio, but I'm talking about commercials, movie trailers, sports events. Someone just was saying, I think it was a football game or something, they're playing the Cars as part of their little music blurbs. And of course the show Brain Dead, which was a series that actually, a Cars song was actually a character in the show. Their music is still very, very much a part of the sounds of our culture today.
Yeah, just for you Twitter people, look up the hashtag the Cars. Just see how many posts, besides, mine and Donna, that are put in there. Just people who are, who post something like, hey, yeah, listening to Drive right now. Or, listening to Let's Go, listening to the Candy O album right now. Those kinds of posts where people are just posting out to their friends, hey, check this out, I'm listening to this right now. It's incredible.
Yeah, Yeah, I agree. And I think something that also is always in the back of my mind when you were mentioning about them not having quite as large of a fan base as, you know, an arena rock band like Journey or something. To me, there's an element of that's by choice, in the sense that they did not tour extensively like some of these other bands did. They did not push merchandise extensively like a lot of these other bands did. I mean, they could have made different choices that I think would have propelled them up into that stratosphere of bands where they were more prevalent everywhere, had they chosen to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's not, again, that fan base is not necessarily reflective of their talent or their likability. I mean, I think even now when people, if I say like to the gal that cuts my hair, here, you got to check this out, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, that's great music. It's their fan base, the size of their fan base is a product of more than just what does the band sound like.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about the Cars fan base is you have the hardcores like us, but you have a lot of people who are familiar with the Cars, they just don't know it, or they just kind of keep it in check. And that's another thing. If you're looking through the hashtag the Cars on Twitter, and I'm scrolling right now, and I just passed 2 tweets from today. Somebody saying, "Hey, cast your vote for the Cars," and it's somebody I've never heard of. They don't follow. Night Spot's the unofficial official Twitter. Here's somebody saying, "I can't get enough of the Cars." I mean, that's
yeah.
That's notoriety right there. Here's one in Spanish. Si proseguo quista matanata con the Cars, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Don't you love seeing like a Japanese posts on Twitter? And you're like, what the hell is this? Oh, it's got a picture of the car. Shit, I'll retweet it. Why not?
Well, it's not like the translate function helps. You click on the little translate this, and it's still like I have no clue. But you didn't use any swear words, so I'll retweet it.
Yeah. Well, that we know of.
Yeah.
But I do love that though. And sometimes when people, I'm a big follower. I mean, if people follow me on Twitter, I follow them back. And a lot of people aren't like that. But, when I do have someone who is from another country who speaks a language that I have no clue what they're saying, I always kind of hesitate. Like, okay, should I follow them? Okay, I'll follow them. But I'm not going to understand anything you post.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that. So.
That's all right.
Just post a picture with it, I'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to ask you, when we're talking about that, Rick saying that it's all about what can be on TV and all of that kind of thing, it made me, one little question that popped up in my mind was, what do you think the chances are, if they get inducted this year, what do you think the chances are of them performing?
Okay. I would say that if they get inducted, I think they would perform. Just because I think they're stand-up guys and they appreciate their fans and they know how much it would mean to us. And how many songs or whatever do bands perform when they do that whole spiel? 2 or 3 maybe?
I don't know. To be honest, I have never watched Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
I haven't either. Well, let's just say, for sake of argument, they do 3. I mean, it'd be pretty darn easy for them to do, 3 songs, 3 classics. and do it. I mean, it's not like they would take. I mean, they could rehearse one day and do it the next day.
Well, you hope so. I
They,
mean, it's been what, 7 years since they toured, 6 years since they toured with
Yeah.
Move Like This. David, and you know, he.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say,
I just thought
David.
of something. God, see, now we sound like idiots again, Donna.
The idiots are back. The idiots are
Damn
back.
it.
Okay, well, all I was going to say, thank you. All I was going to say was between the breakup of the Cars in the late 80s and to Move Like This album, David gave up drums entirely. And I'm curious as to if he has done that again after Move Like This. I wonder if he said, oh, we're done? Okay. Then maybe he sold his stuff on eBay again and is, out of the game. I wonder. I'm curious. But I'm thinking about that in the process, of wondering what would it take for them to get back on stage together.
What I was thinking, wouldn't it really suck if the Cars are inducted and they're planning on performing, okay? And let's say Rick gets the flu, okay? He's got the runny nose, he's got the scratchy throat. You have to get a replacement for him, and they get fucking Todd Rundgren.
No. No.
Hey, I'm here to induct the Cars into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, no.
That would really suck.
What a nightmare. Why do you even say things like that out loud?
I don't know. It comes pops in my head.
Oh, my gosh. Todd Rundgren.
So let me ask you this. Do you expect the Cars to make it this year? Well, let's start with the fan vote. Do you expect the Cars to end up in the top 5?
I do, but I think they'll be at the bottom of the run.
Where are they
the
at right
bottom.
now?
I think they're number 4.
Number 4?
I can try to look it up really quick. Oh, in fact, I haven't voted yet today, so I'll vote right now. And then I'll know up to the second. So, yeah, I think if they do, it'll be, they might get in there as number 5. Current standings, the Cars are number 4.
At the top.
Yep,
I
Bon
know,
Jovi, Moody
Dire
Blues.
Straits is ahead of them. Moody Blues
Yep.
ahead of the Cars?
Here, let me read it out. Bon Jovi, Moody Blues, Dire Straits, the Cars, and Eurythmics are the top 5 right now.
There's a big gap between the Cars and Eurythmics, too.
Like 20,
only
20 like 3. No. Oh, yeah. Wait. Yes, like almost 30,000.
Well, I figure the Moody Blues are going to have to take an intermission at some point on voting, so they may fall a little bit. But, yeah. Okay, so we do expect them to get in the top 5 then, right?
I do expect them to be in the top 5. Yes.
Okay. So do you expect the Cars to be inducted this year?
It depends. Because it is political and all of that stuff. I mean, I can't decide if my reasons are because it would be nice or because I think it's an actual possibility. But I don't know what to expect. I would love for them to do it. Next year's their 40th anniversary of the debut album. It is the 3rd time. It's been a close call. I feel like there's a lot of support out there in those official ballot holders. You see on Twitter a lot of times they'll post a picture of their ballot. And so I'm assuming that it's got to have been close in the ballot box.
Well, I had heard that it was very close last year.
Okay.
They barely missed.
Okay.
And I also heard from the same person, and I don't know how true this is, but that they were talking to somebody who's in that circle, that the plan is to get the Cars in this year. That's why I'm have a positive sense about it.
Okay.
So I think they are. I keep looking back. They keep getting nominated. So somebody likes them.
Right. Yeah.
I think they're going to make it in this year. I think this is the year. And if not, I don't think they'll get nominated anymore. Because, you know, if you're part of that committee that nominates and you put the cars up there 3 years in a row and they don't get in, you know, I don't think they're going to put them again. So I think it's all or nothing this year.
Well, and I wonder, you know, I wonder what the history on that is like. I mean, I wonder how many people have been voted how many times, you know, I mean, how are there other bands? Who is it? It seems like there was somebody that got in last year in some sort of other category, and it was all sort of, people were in an uproar about it, but because they had been nominated so many times. Who was that?
I know Yes was nominated 3 times. Deep Purple was nominated a few times, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, somebody else. And then they ended up having the guy go in some other category, some influential category or something. But I just can't remember. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is there a trend of bands getting nominated over and over and over and over and over and not making it in? Or do they just eventually get dropped off the ballot? I'm surprised it took them so long to get on the ballot, because the 25-year mark, you know, was a long time ago. And this is only their third nomination.
Well, the 25-year was what? 2003?
1978 to plus 25 years would be 2003.
Yeah. And I can remember people talking about it then. Hey, the cars are eligible, blah, blah, blah. They would get nominated.
Yeah, it took another dozen years for them to get on the ballot.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. So, okay, well, yeah, I hope they do. Like I said, the 40th anniversary coming up. They've been kind of positioning themselves in the sense that last year they released the remastered box set and all the colored vinyl that they did. I can't remember what that was called. And then this year they did the Live at the Agora. They've done, you know, re-released Candio and Panorama. There's been rumors that they're going to release more before the end of the year, and possibly more live shows coming next year being released on vinyl. So, you know, there's definitely been activity, and to me that's been this positioning of themselves back in the limelight of music. So, I mean, it seems everything seems to be coming together. It seems like a great time for them to do something, for them to make it in, you know. I hope.
I think probably the most important thing, you know, to do in this case is for people just to keep posting stuff about the cars. I mean, the people who have the power to put them in, you know, are obviously on social media, and they see, you know, what we do and how we feel about this band and just keep posting stuff. Don't necessarily think hate tweets towards the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame does any good. Posts on Facebook bitching about it doesn't do any good. It just you know, makes people come off as sore losers. And really cheating doesn't do any good. So, you know, we shall see.
Well, and that's why I was going to ask you. Well, I have a couple questions for you now, but I was going to ask you, you know, last year, like you mentioned, last year you really, you know, you kind of were one of the forefront Panorama encouragers of the vote, and you were putting out awesome graphics and all of that stuff. Are you?
Every day.
I haven't seen it every single day, and I haven't seen that from you this year. What's your thought on that?
I couldn't do it.
You burned out?
Like I said, I was, you know, jaded to begin with about the whole cheating thing. But, you know, I firmly, you know, believed that, you know, just doing it ourselves, which I really think we did last year. I don't think the voting bot dudes were successful.
No, I don't think
just by the vote count and so forth. And doing a post every day, hey, make sure and vote, make sure and vote, make sure and vote. You know, I'd like to think that made a difference. But, you know, the Cars finished what, like third in the voting last year?
I think
Something
so.
like that. I mean, it wasn't fourth or fifth.
No,
but,
let's see.
After going through that that grassroots campaign that we did, because the officials weren't doing diddly squat, and them not getting in, is kind of like, man. And then you kind of have to think to yourself, okay, the whole fan vote, it's one vote, it's one crappy vote. It's not worth it for me to, make up these things for a daily post and so forth. And there's better things to do with my time than to do that. So yeah, so I didn't have any plans to do it even before the cars were announced for this year. I just knew I wasn't going to do it this year. Just see how it turns out. Maybe that'll be a positive thing.
My other question I was going to ask you was, if they do get inducted, one of the things I've seen kind of floating around in the in the groups is the desire that Benjamin Orr's son, Benjamin, would the award on his behalf. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that would be awesome. Or someone from his family would be very cool. But then you also have to understand that I don't know how private his family is.
Right.
That would be very, very sweet thing for them to do, if that would be the case. And just realize there's thousands of batshit crazy Benjamin fans. I won't accept this from my Benji binge.
Easy now.
Beautiful.
I think it would be pretty great.
Content.
Yep, I know. You're just setting
that would
yourself
be
up.
cool.
Yeah.
But they
really
do
cool.
that one thing where Ben Jr. came to one of the shows in 2011 that the Cars did, with that picture that's out there.
Yes,
so that was
I've
pretty
seen
cool.
that.
So I'm sure that if they are inducted, that they would extend an invitation out to him and say, hey, we want you, up here to accept us, for your father and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. A little side note, I did look up, the Cars did finish 5th, I think, last year.
Did they really?
Because I think so. Well, because after that dump, they had been in 3rd, and then after that vote dump, they were they got knocked down to 5th. They were the only ones that changed spots.
That's right.
Remember that? And so they were knocked down to 5th. So just following up on that. But yeah, and you encourage the people to post about the cars, and I think that that's really true. Of course, vote, post about the cars, but also, just try not to get your heart too wrapped up in the whole process, because the cars are the cars. They are awesome. And, no matter what happens with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's not going to affect the amount I listen to them or love them. So, no sense in getting too worked up over the whole thing. I mean, certainly put energy into it if you've got energy to spare, but, let's not have any broken hearts about it.
It's kind of like sports. There are, I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan, and that's a team that is rich with tradition of winning. And, you've got some Cardinals fans who are just bitter as hell if the Cardinals don't make it in the playoffs. And even more bitter as hell that the Cubs are, have been doing so well. But it doesn't do you any good to feel that way. I mean, it's just like it's just baseball,
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It is what it is. It's just the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You're going to like that band. Your whole world should not depend on whether or not the Cars make it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you certainly shouldn't hold on to any bitterness over it. Because if the band, if the band is cool with it,
Right. Yeah, I totally agree.
What he said, But Steve Miller, remember when Steve Miller got in, he kind of made a few comments about the whole process, and he got in.
He wasn't happy about it, right? I mean,
no,
he wasn't happy about it. But yeah.
He's up there playing Jungle Love, and he's just like, did you know this is a bunch of bullshit?
Well, and I understand, not that I've got my own opinions on Axl Rose, but I understand that there's been several bands, including him, I think, that when they were nominated, wrote letters into the Rock Hall and said, no, thanks.
Really?
No, thank you. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Guns N' Roses was one, and it seems like there was another one that were just, they didn't even want to be considered.
Wow.
So, it is what it is, like you said. And if they get in, we'll celebrate like crazy. Absolutely. If they don't, all right. I'll still plug in my headphones and crank their tunes.
There we go.
I'll feel sorry for all the people who don't. I'll feel sorry for all the people who don't listen to the Cars because they're missing out.
Yep, for sure. I think that sums it up perfectly. So, Donna, we're at the end of our podcast, I think.
I think so, yeah.
I have something to admit. First of all, we don't have any Midnight Scroll. We don't have any Midnight Scroll because none of our listeners can type, and it just says right here, no new mail. So we don't have Midnight Scroll, and with only 2 days between podcasts, I'll be honest, my mind just doesn't work that quick sometimes, and I didn't have enough time to make up a phony email. So no Midnight Scroll.
That's a bummer. You can still play the music, though. Will you still play the music? Because I love it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's just pretend we have Midnight Scroll.
Yeah.
Dear Dave and Donna, I love the podcast.
Love it.
All right, so people, please write into us. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know about our sound quality. Ask us a question. Give us an opinion. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
That's the way this works. So I'm not sure what our next podcast is.
I think we're looking at November, right? Because I'm going to be gone. Yeah, I will be out of town from the 21st to the 27th. We're going on our big family reunion week. Looking forward to that.
So we are looking at the first Friday in November.
Well, we need to talk about that. Yeah, that's my daughter's 18th
Something
birthday.
Like that.
Yeah.
We are planning on tackling talking about individual members when we come back. So in the meantime, people need to catch up on the podcast. That'll give them ample time because hey, we're 14 episodes in, longest running podcast about the Cars ever. 14 episodes.
Yes.
And that's easily 20 hours of
easy
mindless drivel with poor audio quality that we've put out for you, the Fanorama. And what thanks do we get for it? Do we get an email? No, we don't get an email.
We're even doing this free of charge.
we just start doing like my mom does when I don't call. We just need to start emailing people and say, is your email broken?
Don't you have anything you want to ask me about the Cars?
Has your account been hacked? No. Well, I just wondered why you haven't emailed us. Because that mom shit works.
Oh yeah.
That's how my mom. My mom calls up and says, "Yeah, I was just wondering if you're still alive." So people, email, let us know if you're still alive. That's all we want. Yeah.
Communicate.
Yeah. Plus, every phone has speech to text feature. You know, you don't even have to type. Just click on that little microphone icon and just talk a few paragraphs, send it away.
Yeah.
We'll read it.
There you go.
Yep.
Absolutely. Right. Dave, have you checked out the YouTube channel yet?
I have not checked out the YouTube channel yet. Can you give the address on the air?
It's Y35642 ... blah blah blah. That's what
You're
YouTube
kidding.
links look like.
It isn't like YouTube/Night Thoughts?
Well, I guess the name of it, yeah, we've got a name for the channel. I thought you meant like,
but
so I type in
order for people to go there, could they just go to YouTube and search Night Thoughts?
Yes, they could.
I'm trying it right now.
Do it,
See
yeah.
what comes up.
It's called Night Thoughts. What?
The first one,
What'd you
High
say?
or Deep, Late Night Thoughts by Lisa. Sweat
No,
Night
it's
Thoughts,
not that.
full album.
No.
Maybe I need to put in Night Thoughts podcast. Let's try
It's
that.
called Night Thoughts. Yeah, it's called Night Thoughts Cars Podcast.
Boom! There we are, number one. Yeah.
What do you think?
So go to YouTube and just put in the search bar Night Thoughts Podcast. I'm subscribing. I just subscribed to our own channel.
Yay! Yay!
So check it. Wow, Donna. That looks pretty sharp.
You
we
like
got
that?
Donna's Twitter, Dave's Twitter. Got a little picture of both of us there.
Yeah. Got all the info, got the logo.
Wow, you've been busy. Holy mackerel, those look fantastic.
Well, let me tell you, my son Nick, who is an amazing YouTuber. He's got several channels. He gets checks from Google all the time for his videos and Lego tutorials and all sorts of stuff. I mentioned about doing this YouTube thing, and he just ran with it. So he did all the channel art design using your graphics. He has been uploading the videos, and if you watch the videos, of course, they're just the audio, but he's got a really neat custom visual screen for each video that features the graphic from that week and the logo, and very cool.
Wow,
very cool.
I'm posting that right now on Twitter.
Please do.
That's really pretty awesome. Yeah,
Great.
fantastic.
So he's got, I think, the first 7 or 8 episodes up, and he's just in the process. He's doing all. He'll get through 14 as soon as he can, and then he'll just keep up with them every week for me. I have to pay him in salsa sunflower seeds and cases of chili and tortilla chips. That's the fee.
I knew there was a catch somewhere.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll shoulder those costs.
Got to pay him somehow, man. All right.
Yeah.
I'm posting that as we speak. That is really cool. I like how you put the little logo on there and everything.
Yeah. Well, wait till you click on the video. It's actually, he has the logo kind of spin out of this visual thing. You'll just have to watch it, but he's got this whole little thing for each one. It's really cool. So.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I know, he's pretty great.
That's big time.
Yeah. It looks really great.
We didn't have to go through an interview process with the kid.
No.
Wow. Well, tell him I said thank you. Tell him I said it looks great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'll tell him.
All right.
Yeah, and we'll keep promoting it. And people, if you're having a hard time listening to the show on Blog Talk, I know that there's been some complaints about it, not just us. You can go to YouTube and listen to them there as well. And he cut the ads out too, which is nice.
All right. Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
So besides our new YouTube channel, Donna, for the number one longest running podcast about the cars, where else can listeners find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Sweet Purple June. You can find me on Facebook, Benjamin Orr. Sweet Purple June is the name of my page. And I have a blog called www.sweetpurplegune.wordpress.com, all about Benjamin and the cars. How about you, Dave?
And of course, you can find me on at @night_spots on Twitter. And it's not that I wasn't listening, Donna. It's just that it's the same thing I say at the end of every podcast. But did you mention the Fanorama page on Facebook?
I did not. No, I was
Okay.
going to leave that to you this time.
So you can find both Don and I on the Cars Fanorama Facebook page. where I am there to create drama.
And make people sick.
That makes people sick. You got it. All right. So until November, my friends, we will see you then. And let's just hope for the best with the Cars in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep, keep voting.
And just a little disclaimer, Donna and I are not officially associated with the Cars Unlimited, although we would be if they asked us. So, hey, Rhino, give us a call.